What's up, YouTube land? Back with another hike video. It's been a while since I've done one of these. This area that I'm going to, which is Courthouse Falls, has a lot of local history and local legends tied to it, so I've always really enjoyed this hike. It's one of my favorite areas. So right now I'm hiking up the Sumi Cove Trail because the gate to get up to the top of Courthouse Falls is closed. And there's a bit of getting lost right now because there's a lot of hurricane damage by the look of it. So the trail's changed a bit, getting lost, but I'll get up there eventually. So it's really hard to see it, but that mountain over there is the top of Devil's Courthouse, and that's going to be pretty significant for us as we get to our waterfalls. So definitely kind of make a mental note of that, and we'll revisit that topic in a bit. Here behind me we have a giant landslide. Obviously this was caused by the hurricane a couple months ago. This has been pretty common all across western North Carolina. This is Mill Station Creek behind me, and as I said, we've got a little bit of hurricane damage as there used to be a bridge going across here, and now the bridge is right there. So I can only imagine the amount of water that was coming through here at the time. Our first waterfall is actually on Mill Station Creek right here. We're gonna go around this corner. It's a little bit of bushwhack. All right, so this is where the bushwhack down to Kiesee Falls begins. There's a little bit of a faint path. You just kind of find the path of least resistance, and you'll get down there. This is Kiesee Falls behind me, named after Cody Harris, who was the one that discovered the falls. It's about a 30-foot slide. Not really a trail to get down here. It's just kind of a bushwhack, follow the path of least resistance. You might pick up a little bit of a trail here and there, but just kind of make your way towards the sound of falling water and you'll make it down here. One fun fact about this waterfall, I believe back in the day, local professional kayaker Ryan McAvoy was the first one to ever kayak these falls, and to the best of my knowledge, he's the only one that's ever ran these falls in a kayak, so pretty cool. All right, so that's it for Kiesee Falls. I'm gonna get out of here and head over to Courthouse Falls. All right, and just like that, in a snap, we have reached Courthouse Falls. This is it behind me. It's maybe like a 30-40 foot drop. So there's a lot of local legends and local history around this waterfall. The first bit of interesting history around Courthouse Falls, if you remember, we talked about the mountaintop Devil's Courthouse. Well, the headwaters for Courthouse Creek begin at Devil's Courthouse. And the Cherokee believed that the spirit Judicala had his courtroom set up on the inside of Devil's Courthouse up there on the Blue Ridge Parkway, and it was from inside that mountain, inside his court, where he would judge their souls. So the Cherokee viewed these waters as pretty sacred, and it would have been very important to them to make sure they preserved this area. Another interesting fact about this waterfall is it's sometimes called Coondog Falls. And the story goes that a hunter was up here hunting some raccoons with his dogs, and the one dog ended up chasing the raccoon over the waterfall. The dog went over the waterfall and not only survived, but the story goes that the dog ended up treeing the coon downstream. So whether it's true or not, it's a pretty neat story to hear about a dog who went over this waterfall and it still was able to tree the coon. There's some interesting history surrounding Courthouse Falls. and the Cherokee legends around it, but there's a lot more Cherokee legends and history further upstream, so we're going to get to those in just a minute. So this is the place that you would normally park whenever the gates open. I'm up here at the Courthouse Creek Bridge, and looks like it made it through the hurricane, but definitely got a little bit of a warp. Maybe it's just me. And it's got a major log jam right over there. So anyway, there's a lot of other waterfalls around here. You have Upper Courthouse Falls and Red Rock Falls up that way. You have Chestnut Falls over this way, but the two of them that we're going to are Kiesee Falls, and there's a lot of legendary stories around those waterfalls and how they got their name, so I will get into that, and I'll tell you the story of Cherokee Chief Kiesee when we get to the falls. So as I said before, this hike can be made significantly easier if the gate is open, but the gate is not open, so we're gonna have to walk along this old forest road for a little bit, and this is the turnoff to head up to Kiesee Creek. And this gate is open, however I can't get my car up there, so it doesn't do me a whole lot of good. Alright, so we've left the nice open forest road, and this is the bushwhack portion to get to Kiesee Falls. There's really not a great way to get down there. Every time I've kind of gone a little bit different way, but you can spot little faint paths like this every now and then. So I would just say look for one of those, follow it down to the creek. We finally made it to Kiesee Falls. Has a little bit of a gnarly bushwhack down here. Hopefully y'all can find an easier way. I've just never really been able to find an easier way to get here. It's pretty hemmed in by rocks on either side. This waterfall is said to be named after Chief Kiesee, who was supposed to be a Cherokee Indian chief back in the day. So what is Chief Kiesee's significance? So back whenever the government forced all of the Indians and Cherokee out of their native lands, not all of them complied with it. And the legend goes that Chief Kiesee was one that didn't comply with it, and he ended up staying around here. And he even had his camp way up on that ridge over that way. We'll get a look at that later. And supposedly this was part of his private hunting grounds. So there's a little bit more on Chief Kiesee, and we'll go over that when we get to Upper Kiesee Falls. And the Upper Falls are literally just a short distance upstream. Unfortunately, there's really not a good way to get up there, so we gotta climb back out of all this and then get back on that little path that we were on and then go back down in the creek. All right, so the path to the Upper Falls is definitely a little bit easier to follow, definitely more forgiving, but still pretty difficult. As you can see, it's a pretty darn thick bushwhack, but the path is kind of faint and easy to follow. All right, so we made it to Upper Kiesee Falls. Now, at the lower waterfall, we said that Chief Kiesee was a Cherokee Indian chief who ended up staying behind after the government forced all the Indians out of North Carolina. So, with Chief Kiesee staying behind, he essentially made this whole area his private hunting lands. And eventually he started sharing it with you know, the white settlers, and they would basically like ask him to come up here. He'd be like, yeah, you can go hunt. And so the white settlers would hunt on his lands, and the way I understand the story, it seems like it was a pretty good relationship. And as I said, Chief Kiesee had his camp up on a ridge over that way, and it was underneath a giant rock bluff, and it had like a spire tower of rocks that he would stand out on. And it took me a long time to find it, but I can confirm that there is a giant rock bluff up there with a giant spire next to it. So the story might be true. So we're gonna go up there to his campsite, and we will learn of the fate of Chief Kiesee. So this is the alleged spot that Chief Kiesee used to have his camp at, and it matches up with all the legends. So you've heard the legends. Now let's go see where these actually took place at. So this is supposedly the spire rock that Chief Kiesee would climb up on and survey his hunting grounds. And the rock itself is at least 30 feet, if not more. So I think it would definitely give you a good vantage point if you were sitting on top of this thing to look over everything, kind of like a tree stand. So it does make sense in that regard, and definitely gives credibility to the story. Over my shoulder is where his camp was said to be. So let's go take a look at it. So we are under the rock bluff where Chief Kiesee supposedly made his camp, and I can definitely see this being a pretty good spot to take shelter. You got a natural roof up above your head here. You got your little hunting stand rock that you can look for food. So I don't know, to me it seems like a prime spot if I was gonna, you know, make this my private hunting grounds. So Chief Kiesee had been showing the hunters and the settlers around his private hunting grounds here. And so this is the spot where he had his camp. And the plan was for them to go out hunting. And so Chief Kiesee went one way and the local settlers went the other way. And the plan was to meet back here at the camp. And unfortunately, when the settlers returned, they found Chief Kiesee supposedly dead right under this bluff, and they're unsure what actually happened. One story is that the Cherokee were angry with Chief Kiesee for showing the settlers around what was Cherokee lands. The other story is that he was killed by a panther. So, you know, I don't really know what happened. Unfortunately, that's where the legend kind of ends. So, as for me, you know, it's unfortunately the rocks can't tell stories, because I would love to know what actually happened. But I did talk to a local Cherokee, or a professor of Cherokee history at one of the local colleges, and he said he had never heard of this particular legend. However, he also said that doesn't mean it's not true. I also talked to a local Cherokee man who, you know, was full-blooded Cherokee, born and raised on the reservation, and he said he had heard this story growing up. So you'll have to decide for yourself whether this legend is true or not. As for me, I tend to believe that it's true. So anyway, hope you enjoyed this video of learning about some of the waterfalls in the area, some of the history, and some of the Cherokee history surrounding this area. So whether it's out on the river, where I'll be kayaking, or climbing up some mountain, or at some waterfall, I hope y'all enjoy the videos. And yeah, I will catch y'all next time.